guys, welcome back to Voting Fellows. Today I want to talk to you about something. It's called a 16mm film. At 16mm film on projector and all that. But yes, it has been about a year since I've gotten a film of any sort, but I finally got one, a new one. Well, not new because, yeah, people don't really print films anymore, but you can. Just costs a lot of money. I've looked into it. Rather than making 16mm into digital, how about digital into 16mm? That exists, but it's, let's just say, for like a sound feature film, feature meaning about 1 hour 25 minutes, that is $10,000. And that is one of the lowest prices. I'm not going to say it's the lowest price. Yeah. But that's usually the average. It's about $10,000 for a feature-length film if you want to print it from digital to 16. But this is not one of them. In fact, this is a dupe print made from an original print. That's how dupe prints work. But this is of a Buster Keaton film called Jailbait. This was in a period of his career. I feel he passed his peak. Definitely. His peak was, I feel, his peak was 1925's Go West. But he kept making movies, and he remained successful until 1928. That's when he got hired onto MGM, and then they just overused him. But they didn't even use his talent. When he did The Cameraman, he co-directed that, uncredited, of course. When he did The Cameraman, why it was such a success for MGM was because of his filmmaking techniques, not theirs. But MGM thought that it was their filmmaking techniques that made it, rather than his. So, they continued to water down his potential. And, they were big money makers for MGM. Lavish production, big sets, but they weren't funny at all. They just sucked. They added Jimmy Durante to be his foil, but it sucked. It just doesn't work. And then in 1933 he got fired, and you can see in his last MGM movie from 1933 called What No Beer. You could tell you could tell he was drunk when they were filming. You could tell throughout almost the whole entire film he was drunk. Of course it's called What No Beer, but in scenes where he's not supposed to be drunk, you can tell that he was drunk. He's like falling off of stuff, and it's like it's quite sad. But a film production company called Educational Pictures unrightfully so dang it, because they made comedies. Nothing educational about them, but they peaked in the 1920s as well and were slowly going bankrupt. Buster came along, and they allowed him to add his little touch on the films he made there. There are only a couple really good ones, but those really good ones are really good. Oh yes, they're really good. Ones like, let me think here. Blue Blazes, Grand Slam Opera. The Chemist, and Jailbait. Those four. There's probably another one in there, but those four are extremely good. And Buster was between, when he was here, 1934 to 1937, he was 39, between 39 and 42. But you can't tell, okay? He looks a lot better than he did in the MGM ones, and you can tell he's not drunk in a couple. Grand Slam Opera is my favorite. It's just Keaton gag after Keaton gag, everything lands. But Jailbait's amazing also. This one, the comedy's based more on it's based more so on, well, the situation. The situation. Everything is going wrong in this one. Like, plot may sound really stupid, but it's not as stupid when you watch it, but it's still, it's like, a murder happened, then his roommate, he doesn't know anything about it, then his roommate wants to, like, he knows who the murderer is, but he wants to catch it for himself because he's, like, involved in the paper. And Buster is also involved in the paper, but he's an office boy, and he wants to get this ring for this girl that he likes, but she doesn't even know that he exists. And then he turns himself in to help out his pal at the newspaper. And then the guy, like, took a plane. The newspaper guy took a plane somewhere, but the number on the plane was 13, and Buster didn't like that. He's like, oh yeah, the number on the plane, I'm not sure about that. And then it's like, not superstitious. And then the plane crashes. Buster is in jail. And that means that all chances of him leaving are, meaning that if he doesn't get out real quick, he'll be hanged by the neck. And that's what he agreed to, thinking that he would get released because he's not the real murderer, because this is unhinged, honestly. And then there's this really funny breakout scene where everybody breaks out, and he's in his prison attire. He escapes while everybody else is escaping. A cop runs by and hits Buster on the head because he's a prisoner who's escaping. And then Buster dresses up as a policeman or a guard. And then one of the prisoners hits him, and it keeps going back and forth. And then on the front side, he has his prison attire, and on the back, he has his uniform, guard uniform. And then he's allowed to escape. But, like, it ends where he's almost killed by a gangster. I have no idea, like, what's going on at the end. And then he gets his $98 to buy the ring for whoever the crap it was. And you don't even get to see him give the ring. It's just kind of ends. Just kind of peters out. But Jailbait's pretty good. Grand Slam Opera is better. I wish I had a print of that rather than this, but it's still a really good print. But what's really funny is Buster's voice is so raspy. I mean, he's a smoker, and I guess he just has a naturally sort of rough voice, and that on top of all the smoking. It sounds like that. It's so bad that it rattles my projector speaker only when he speaks. The projector literally starts rattling. It's the phone's on the projector, that's what's recording. But the speaker just like it's just because of his voice. But like you could tell that about this time he started getting his whole life back together, slowly assembling it, and then that's what led to his movie cameos and TV appearances of his later years. That's all for today, and goodbye.